Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Entheon's channel. We are once again here with Tim. First off, Tim, how are you doing?
I'm great. It's a sunny day out in beautiful Vancouver, and I'm grateful to be alive.
Good, good. Glad to hear it. It's finally getting warm here too. We're not all as lucky to be in Vancouver, where you guys get nice weather, pretty common. But yep, it's good times. But let's get to this first news announcement you guys have here, which is you guys announced Nancy Maher, Special Advisor of Data Science and Regulatory Affairs for you. So Miss Maher has she served as an executive and consultant for some really big names, right? She's been with IBM, Gilead, Shearing Plow, Merck, Allergen, and Teva Pharmaceuticals. So what does she bring into the team?
It's hard to really very simply define what she's bringing the team up. Along with her, decades of experience in sort of big pharma, she also brings a very unique perspective on how to do nimble, agile science. But I guess the primary area of focus for her is ensuring that our data practices are not only secure, but maximize the value of the type of research that we're doing. Of course, we're focused on DMT for the purpose of treating addiction, but we're also considering a whole variety of other different measures, including genetics and EEG. And so in order for those different data fields to communicate, to ultimately be predictive of not only sort of the individual patient response, but also more broadly predictive in terms of finding other signals for which we can, based on which we can pursue other types of clinical research. All those data systems have to be very diligently structured and have a shared structuring and language so that inferences made in the world of genetics can lead to other research and development with regard to DMT in the pursuit of helping more people, but also in terms of refining our understanding about what goes into making a DMT experience beneficial for someone. So yeah, ultimately, she's here to ensure that our data is structured in such a way that we maximize patient safety, as well as maximize the potential of DMT to help a wider variety of people.
Wonderful. And yeah, she sounds like a real veteran of the industry. This is something she's very familiar with. And it's really cool to see her enter this field too. This is very exploratory. So having someone like that with all that knowledge coming on can be very beneficial.
Absolutely. Yeah, we all know that psychedelics have the potential to be, not limitlessly, helpful, but there's a wide variety of potential for them to help a variety of people. And so, but we do have to adhere to science. And so what directs science best is data. And so certainly helping us to organize our thoughts as well as our information so that we have that chance of helping a lot of people.
So Tim, I'd also like to dive into the therapy itself, right? So how does DMT therapy help someone with addiction?
Really great question. I think the reality is that psychedelics for a lot of people are veiled in the sense of mysticism, both in the sense of spiritual mysticism as well as a sense of not really knowing what's going on. But what we do know from a sort of scientific and empirical basis is that, psychedelics, especially DMT, are really good in creating what is known as entropy. And so in a lot of senses, entropy, some people believe that is bad. It's randomness, that's deterioration. But in the sense of the brain, I think the reality is that for most people, individuals that don't suffer from addictions and mental health disorders, as well as people that do, we have something called the default mode network, which is essentially our muscle memory, our neurological muscle memory. So we have, pretty commonly held beliefs, reactions, as well as habits that, we sort of operate on autopilot. It governs, how we feel upon waking up, what we look forward to, what we dread. And for most people, that is pretty standard. It's non-harmful. But for people that do suffer from things like addiction, those naturally held beliefs, those really well-worn neural pathways can be quite detrimental. Upon waking, a person might feel a sense of dread that becomes insurmountable or totally distressing to the point of being, intolerable. And so some of the natural default mode network regulated functions of that type of stress response might be to seek out substances, and then upon ingesting those substances feel a sense of shame that affirms this sense that life is bad. So it's a really gross oversimplification, but ultimately the behaviors that we engage in are governed by essentially the beliefs and perspectives that we hold that are somewhat tied to that default mode network. So DMT enables the activation of all sorts of different parts of the brain. It like recruits different neural areas and in a way disrupts that default mode network regulation through this process of entropy. So entropy or randomness in this regard enables a person to, not be into those well-worn pathways with those very defined beliefs, but rather opens a person up to having these new experiences and developing new beliefs, so that rather than going that place of the world is a terrible place and I'm, not deserving of being in it, or this sense of adversarial relationship to everything, can rather have feelings of openness and grandeur and appreciation, which for someone that has suffered from the oppressive weight of, their own beliefs and shame, is really liberating. And so through that randomness, that recruitment of other brain areas, the person can suddenly have a very expansive outlook on life, where they could recontextualize, because they are breaking through those deeply grooved patterns into this new place of experience, and suddenly come to a new understanding that, hey, maybe life is okay, maybe I am worthy, and from that foundation of new beliefs can develop new patterns and behaviors.